After this presentation, you will never have sugar addictions ever again. On one hand, people have this idea that, sugar feeds your brain, it gives you energy. Sugar's natural. If sugar is so bad, why is it in natural fruit? But on the flip side, I think most people know that we eat too much sugar and it's bad for us. An average person consumes 74 teaspoons of sugar a day. There are over 200 different names of sugar and hidden sugar that creeps into our food, and you would literally have to have a science degree or a chemistry degree to understand some of these words. But I wanted to ask this addiction expert about what sugar does to your brain. What happens to the brain when you eat a lot of sugar?
Well, you get a surge of dopamine. It's
Mhm.
a pleasure neurotransmitter, and it feels good. But
Okay.
then those dopamine brain cells, they're not designed to just keep pumping out that much dopamine,
Mhm.
and they get depleted. They're exhausted. So
Mhm.
you eat the sugar, but like 20 minutes later, you're crashing.
Okay.
And if you do that repeatedly over time, that dopamine receptor, it collapses, it stops working.
As a kid, personally, I ate so much sugar. I would be up in the cupboards just eating straight sugar. And I would have all different types of sugar, from candy to cookies to ice cream. And I was a sugar fiend. And sugar did make me feel better. It brought me up. And then the more I ate sugar, the more I wanted sugar. And it kept going until at 28 years old, I finally broke this habit. So you start off eating sugar, you feel better emotionally, and then you don't feel better emotionally, and then you start craving sugar again. And then you eat sugar, and this whole cycle keeps going around and around.
Oh, I hear this story frequently. I got to the point where I was going to get it, I was eating it, but I didn't like it. That's dependency. That's I need this substance to try. The dopamine receptors are worn out, but I'm going to keep trying to stimulate them to feel good. But
Wow.
they're collapsed. But they do come back.
What you're doing is, I guess, you're trying to bring up the emotions that are basically tanked from eating sugar. So you're trying to
This
fix
is oh
side
my
effects.
gosh. You just said that so well. You said that so well. Your brain is trained. You believe because you've had this experience. If I eat sugar, I'll feel better. But at some point, when your dopamine receptors are collapsed, eating sugar is not going to help.
And so eating sugar triggers wanting to eat sugar. Everywhere you go, oh my gosh, you have sugar. Take a look at all the holidays: Halloween, Valentine's, Christmas, Easter, and then you have birthdays, work social events. And I will say, presently, I am mentally rejected at every party that I go to. No one wants to talk to me because I'm like the person that doesn't drink any alcohol, doesn't eat any junk food, doesn't eat any sugar, won't take the cookie. I've been outcasted, but I still go and just kind of stand in the corner and watch everyone eating sugar. The good news is you can reverse this very, very easily. And even within 72 hours, that's 3 days, you can put yourself into a state of burning fat. It's called ketosis, whereas your physical body will not want sugar. I mean, you can use pure willpower saying, I'm not going to do it, but that doesn't usually work. You need to get rid of the cravings permanently. And to do that, you have to switch your fuel source. You have to get your body burning fat. And so for 3 days, you're just going to have to cut out the carbs. Bring your carbs below 30 grams per day. Now, that's one of the three things you should do. Number two, we need to do something about your environment. You're going to have to talk to the other family members and get their agreement to either hide this junk or get it out of the house, because you can't keep it in front of you all the time. It's just too tempting. And by the way, when you're experiencing any negative emotion, you're no longer in the present. So you're losing control to a certain degree. To a large degree, if you're really going emotionally downhill. And being in the present is very important to kind of being in the driver's seat. You're going to have to either bring alternatives or avoid some of these events. And then number three, instead of consuming sugar to bring you up emotionally, you do other things to bring up your emotions. That's really what you're after in the first place: bringing yourself up emotionally, either from stress or discomfort or from just boredom. And these activities I'm going to share with you right now increase not just endorphins, which actually kind of make you feel better and it gives you a sense of relief, but also another hormone called oxytocin. Now, typically when people think oxytocin, they're thinking where a woman is breastfeeding and that she has a spike of oxytocin. It counters cortisol. It is also considered like what's called a love hormone because it increases when you're in love with someone and also when you're bonding with something. Some of the things I'm going to share will also increase dopamine without depleting the receptor of dopamine. Number one, exercise. Exercise brings you up. Then we get into dancing and music and laughter, long walks in a park, in nature. You have a lot of space, very therapeutic. Another interesting thing about oxytocin is they found that donating to something, contributing to something, gives you a sense of contribution. Helping another increases oxytocin. I mean, in a way, it could be kind of selfish, right? You're donating your time, you're helping someone to really for your own purposes. Well, I think it's a win-win situation. Another thing that's very therapeutic, I've talked about this extensively in other videos, instead of exercise, physical work. It's more productive. It also involves taking your mind off something maybe a little bit more than walking on a treadmill. Also, any type of hobby that involves physical activity is very therapeutic. Doing these additional things to bring you up will really put you in the driver's seat of these addictions. If you fall off the wagon, okay, I would look at it from a different viewpoint. I wouldn't beat yourself up. I would look at that from the viewpoint of, okay, I just did an experiment to see what would happen if I went off the program. Wow, that did not feel good. Personally, I had to fall off the wagon many times before I learned from my own mistakes.
93% of Americans have over the age of 20, have a diagnosis, a diet-related diagnosis. So this is now epidemic. My research shows that most people have this, it's like a cravings disorder, that they have it so severely that they're sick from it, but they can't stop.
And also, if you fall off the wagon and eat something that you probably shouldn't be eating, add some protein to it, add some fat to it to dilute the blood sugar spike and minimize the damage. Now, since we talked about diet, if you want the details on how to do it, I put that video up right here. Check it out.